Mr. Kaizer Chiefs. I see indications about the lights. Can you operators help with the lights if we are happy with the lights? Thank you. With everybody settled, cell phones on silence, devices ready for recording, I'd like to take this opportunity to just thank members of the media who are here. Welcome to the village. And a special thank will go to our chairman, Mr. Kaizer Chiefs, for making time to be with us here, and the rest, of course, Jessica Chiefs, our director in marketing, is going to come up and do the proper welcoming as well as set the tone for the day. Thank you, Jessica.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, what a turnout. Welcome to the Kaizer Chiefs Village, our home. Many of you are familiar with. It is where we inspire greatness and where we have inspired greatness. We have had a great season, one that we can look back, I think, with a lot of pride. We've also had some great celebrations. I know everybody's enjoyed celebrating. They've culminated in us having the PSL Awards, as well as a successful Kaizer Chiefs Award. So thank you to everybody who has been celebrating with us. Obviously, there have been a number of speculations in the media as to who is leaving the club and what is happening at the club. And we felt that it is very important for us as a club to put the rumors to rest and to clarify issues and give clarity where there isn't any. You'll appreciate that, like any organization, we have systems and processes, whether it is negotiating with players or coaches, releasing players. And one of the things we've requested was that we be respected for those processes to take place, and then we'd make the announcements in due course to the media and to our supporters at large. Today, the purpose is to address the issues that have set tongues wagging, and the chairman is here to take your questions and to provide feedback on the season that has been. But mostly to also provide closure that everybody's looking for. He will address the issue on the coach, certain player movements, and ensure that you are able to go back to report to your audiences, who many of them are part of the Amakosi family and our supporters, accurately, because I think that is very important, accurate reporting of the issues that are happening here. We also have the coach and our football manager who will take questions. So let's be clear that the purpose of today is for closure of the past season. We'll not be addressing issues about the new season, new signings, or anything that is taking place in the new season. It really is to close this season, to take a break, and come back to make the necessary announcements in the future. So with that, Vina, let the proceedings start.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you to the members of media once more and to our panelists. I'm going to introduce them. You know them already, but it's proper to mention that is Bobby Mutaung, our football manager, is Kaizer Chiefs chairman, Mr. Kaizer Mutaung, and coach Stuart Baxter. I'm going to be the master of the proceedings today. We're not going to waste time. I just want to make sure that you understand what Jessica mentioned. Includes that after these panel discussions and interviews and questions and answers, we're not going to have the one-on-ones. Please make sure that you prepare your questions for this session. After this, we don't have one-on-one sessions. I'm going to start off, of course, to ask our chairman to take the moment to reflect on Kaizer Chiefs as is now and Kaizer Chiefs going forward. The chairman, the floor is yours. You can take it from there.
I can take it from here.
Yes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me also join in welcoming you all here at the village this morning. And thank you also for And thank you also for responding to our call to come and share this moment with us, historic moment with us today. And of course, if we cast our reflection to the past season, we can all agree that it was a very historic season in terms of achievements by the team and the technical staff. A season which was marked by the breaking of all the records. And of course, let me also remind you that as like any other season, following our last game in PE, in terms of the preparations, our friendly game against Chippa United during our pre-season camp, like any other season, obviously you guys make your points, your predictions, and everything of that nature regarding the new season. So I just want to remind you that the jury was out there saying that this team, Kaizer Chiefs, will not be a contender in the championship, simply because of two reasons. One was the fact that we don't have quality. For me, it was actually surprising because we had won the league before, and the next season, we were just on the verge of winning the league. It just slipped out of our hands. And for anyone who could say that there was no quality in that team made me wonder. And of course, the other reason was that we don't have depth in the squad. I know football is a game of opinions, off the field, of course. On the field, it's got nothing to do with opinions. So there was this question of the issue of the depth, which was even made worse by the fact that we had lost 3 players through injuries. And the third one was Shaba, who got injured at the game in PE. And of course, Bernard Parker was out, Tumelankuna was out, which meant that 3 of our most important and senior regular players were out. And hence, we were not given any chance at all to be contenders in the championship. I think the rest is history. But for me, there are lessons to learn in this scenario, because I believe what the team demonstrated here is that teamwork is number one. I can safely say that it is because of teamwork that we achieved what we achieved. Teamwork not only in terms of the players, but teamwork in terms of the whole technical staff structure, the whole structure that supports the team, and everything around the club. So for me, the basis of our success can be attributed to the fact that we assembled a very good team. And a very good team does not necessarily mean going out there and buying a lot of big-name players. We see some clubs obviously doing that. They go out and buy everything that they sniff Kaizer Chiefs once, they go and buy. So for me, it just says simply that success is not about how many big name players you buy. It's about how you assemble, what kind of team you assemble. A very good example is, say, Alex Ferguson, when he retired. I think we can all agree that the Manchester United team that won the championship to give him his farewell, was not the best of the teams that he has managed before. In fact, comparatively speaking with the other teams in the league, it was the same scenario like here. It was said it was an average team. But then it says a lot about the man who can make an average team win a championship. So I think our coach also deserves a very big round of applause. So I think I must, at this point in time, also remind us and remind you that it was at this time of the year, 3 years ago, when we announced a new coach, and it was none other than Stuart Baxter. And of course, the jury was out there after the press conference. All sorts of things and manner of things were said, and how we were going to fail, because he failed with Bafana Bafana, and all sorts of things were said. But be that as it may, we soldiered on, because we knew what we were doing. And of course, now I can only say the rest is history. So, we are here today, obviously to wind up, as Jessica has said already, the season. The only other manner of things we'll discuss going forward in the next press conference that we'll call in July. But I can only take this opportunity once and for all to congratulate the coach and the team for the success over this past season, but also congratulate all the other Chiefs departments for the part they played, because it's not only about the team on the field, it's all about the number of things and other people supporting the process. And I must also thank you guys, members of the media, for making the game what it is, because without you, some of the things probably would not be in the shape in which they are. Like, for instance, the pressures that you put on us, like the comments that you made before the season to say this team is a mediocre team. Those are the pressures that actually make us get to where we are. And it is your right and your responsibility to reflect things the way you see them, and also to make your own analysis and make your own predictions, because it's all in the name of the game of football. So I do thank your input, because I don't think it's meant to damage, but it's meant to challenge. So I thank you for that. And of course, I know people are, I mean, you guys, your pens are itching right now. You don't want to hear my speech, you only want to hear one thing, or one or two or three things. But I thought it was necessary for me to at least to reflect on the season that has just gone past, the season that was. Yes, today we are going to announce quite a few things. The most important one, the one on the agenda, number one, is the issue about the coach. There has been a lot of speculation regarding his continued stay at Chiefs, but there had been even before the season. Yes, I can today confirm that the coach and Kaizer Chiefs have agreed amicably to allow the coach to move on. And it was a very tough decision, but in life comes a time where certain decisions have to be taken. And also, there are things that you cannot control. And there are also priorities in our lives, like things like family and things like that, that need to be considered. Because we are all aging, we're not getting younger by the day. So there are things that people, even if they'd set out to go to a particular place in their journey, certain circumstances prevail that make them change their routes. So it is confirmed today that the coach and Chiefs have amicably terminated the contract, and the coach will be obviously saying his piece as far as that is concerned. But it is not a parting of acrimony. We have sat down as mature people and discussed, and we agreed that maybe it is time for change and also time to move on. So maybe it will be appropriate for me at this point in time also to allow the coach to say his piece as far as this one is concerned. The only thing I would like to emphasize is that there has not been any acrimony. All the things that we read in the media, that there's tensions here, tensions there, there are tensions everywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's Barcelona or Man United or Real Madrid, there's always tension. Where in a work situation, there will always be people having tensions because of the kind of situations they find themselves. It is natural. But as far as the working relationships and everything in the club is concerned, we have no issues to worry about. So, Coach, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and allow you to say your piece.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Yeah, morning, everybody. Firstly, let me thank the chairman for his very gracious words, and also go back that when I met Bobby in London 3 years ago, that the chairman showed the sort of courage that he's been showing all through his career, and all the qualities that he showed that made him once a great player and now a great spokesman for South African football. He showed that courage to want to ask me to come back to South Africa, knowing that you guys are sitting sharpening your knives, and still asking Bobby to secure my signature. So firstly, I'd like to thank the chairman for showing that courage and giving me the opportunity to come back and maybe change a few perceptions about me, allow you guys to get to know me a little bit better, and maybe put a few of the things right that you thought that you knew about me in the beginning. So that's the first thing I'd like to do, Chairman. So thank you very much. Thank you. And as the chairman says, you know, we've worked very hard on certain things for 3 years, and I always hope that when I come to a football club and the day I leave, that I hope that I can look back and say that I deserved the money that I was paid, and that the football club is not in a worse state when I leave it than when I arrived, and I hope that is the case. I think it's difficult. It's difficult when you come to a point where you're at a big club, and the chairman mentioned the word tensions, and I know Sir Alex Ferguson says exactly the same, that tensions drive a football club and they force people to stretch themselves. But when you're at a big club, there are certain things that happen, and there are certain things that drive that football club, and you've got to make sure that you're ready to meet all of those challenges. And the second that you think, for whatever reasons, private, personal, professional, whatever reasons they are, when you think that you cannot do that, then it is better to part company. And that is where we've been. And as the chairman said, we've spoken maturely about it, and we've agreed that this is for everybody the best solution. There will be no finger pointing from me, no acrimony at all, because and I think you guys have all tried to get a hold of me and tried to get some sort of angle, and I don't think any of you have succeeded, because I don't want to spoil what has been for me, and I hope for Kaizer Chiefs, a beautiful 3-year journey. And therefore, for me, there'll be absolutely no point in showing a lack of integrity at this point and blaming things that are out there that you guys may speculate about. You won't get any confirmation of that from me. In terms of going forward, let me say it's always difficult when we made a decision to keep it under wraps. Yeah, people leak out this and they leak out that, so therein becomes speculation, and there's been lots of speculation, as the chairman said, even back in the beginning of the season. But I think what that does, it makes things a bit more messy, because we have to deny or we have to hide, and I think that's been the difficult part. The difficult part has been trying to win a league, trying to give good performances, trying to satisfy our supporters, and at the same time making sure we are professional. Now we're saying this. For me, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not a decision I'm taking because SAFA have been calling me, or Juventus have been under the table saying, look, come to us. It's got nothing to do with anything else. I will look for jobs, obviously. You know, it's been well documented. I've visited Turkey because there was a club there that has asked me to consider it. Am I going to Turkey at this moment? There's nothing there. The other things have been documented. I have got nothing else. I'm going to go back to Sweden. I'm going to take a bit of a rest, and then if something happens today, tomorrow, or in 6 months, that will have to develop on its own. There is nothing immediate. In fact, after 2 weeks in Sweden, I may miss the sunshine in South Africa and come back here and visit a lot of friends. So I think that's going to be what I'm doing. I've got one. What can I say? I've got one regret, and that is that because of the timing of this, I've not sat in front of the players and actually told them of the decision. They've been reading about it the same, and now they've all gone home, and so at some point I want to sit with the players and speak to them, because, as the chairman said, the players have been absolutely magnificent this year. I've enjoyed every minute working with the players at this football club. The people at the football club are excellent people. There's been no point where I've been disappointed in the players' performance, win, lose or draw. And I think that when I look back at the supporters, fantastic supporters in South Africa, the fantastic quality of the people that I've worked with, then I would have no problem working in South Africa again in the future. So therefore, as the chairman said, we would like to part company as friends, and friends usually try and bump into each other in the future. So for me, that was how I want it to be, and I hope you guys reflect that in the things that you write about Kaizer Chiefs Football Club. Thank you.
Well, there's one thing I also wanted to highlight. I realized that Max Stradom actually misquoted me at the Players Awards. I actually want to highlight the fact that what I said there was that in 1984 we had a Scotsman, not a sportsman, but a Scotsman, by the name of Joe Friggleton, and he won the league and 3 trophies. So again, we have another Scotsman who has won the league twice and 2 trophies. So maybe in the future, when we need some more strength, we might go no further than Scotland. But again, let me take this opportunity once more to thank the coach, his family, for having been part of this exciting journey of Kaizer Chiefs. And of course, they will remain to be part of this journey even in time to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thanks very much to Coach Stuart Baxter, and all the best to you on your future endeavors. So we're moving on, and the Chairman is going to announce the players that will be leaving the club this season. We're going to make a switch and make that a responsibility of the football manager to take care of that part of the business. Football manager Bobby Mutaung will read out the names of the players who will be leaving Kaizer Chiefs. Thank you.
I'm just going to read out. Nothing else. Morning once more. I also want to obviously say a few words about the coach. I've worked with the coach for the past 3 years. In fact, we met with the coach when he was with SAFA, when he was actually working with SAFA. And he came here once or twice, I think, to come and check our setup. So we actually met then. And it was, when we got an opportunity again to meet 3 years ago, it's been wonderful. It's been a professional relationship. And once more, to clear the air, there's never been problems between myself and the coach. We've worked professionally. And as you know, for success, you'll always have 1 or 2 different views on things, but for the same goal of achieving what you've achieved with the coach. And there's never been malaise, because I know my head has been on the block with this as well, that there's been challenges between myself and the coach. There's no such. We've had a very professional journey together. And I want to thank him also, because I think besides the chairman putting his head on the block, I was once more criticized for not knowing what I'm doing, also as a manager of the club. So I want to thank you, Coach, for the journey and the success story that we've had. And obviously, going forward, like the chairman says, we're still a family. And your contribution will always be obviously appreciated and welcomed in the team. So I want to thank him for that. Coming to the issue of players, obviously, collectively, even during the coach's presence here, we've discussed the issue of the team for the past 3 seasons, even this season. And obviously, some of the players which are going to be released, not that they're bad players or we made mistakes on acquiring their services. I think they've all contributed, because at the time when they were called in to do a job, they did the job. But obviously, football, as you know, the coaches will always have a winning formula and a winning combination, and you'd have obviously consistency in certain players. And we want to give this opportunity to these players to get an opportunity once more this season to get a run. Some will be outright, some will be on loan, but so far we are loaning out about 5 players. And obviously the other players which will be also released are players which are obviously out of contract. Some obviously want to further their career elsewhere because they feel they've got 1 or 2 more years in their legs. Those will be released. On my list here, I've got a youngster. As you know, our policy every year is to promote youngsters from the development. And with the challenges, obviously, of the high level of competition and the competitiveness of the league, we have to bring up players. Some will qualify to stay. Some obviously will have to go out there. For instance, a case study of Lucky Baloyi being a captain of Swallows after leaving from our development, being promoted, but not getting enough game time. He was under the cloud. So at the moment, he had to express himself. We can see what he's produced. So most of these players who are young, coming from our development, are actually going to be loaned out also to express themselves. We don't want to keep talent wasted. And obviously, announcements will be made later in terms of who's coming in and who will be, signed up and brought into the club. The other request I would love to make to the media is that whilst it's nice making speculations, confirmed signings of players would only be done by the club officially on our website or mediums or during a press conference like this of this nature. Because sometimes we put, stories as if they are confirmed about players coming to Chiefs without understanding the fact that these players are contracted to their clubs, or even coaches for that matter. They are contracted to their clubs, and we get these things, and then we get a backlash from those clubs, or we create expectations for our fans, which then tomorrow, when those players don't come, the fans, already had high expectations. I think it's only proper for us to announce players that are here. Speculations are there, it's fine, but confirmations can only be done by the club officially on the official platforms. So we've got Chris Matombo going on loan. Spewable Training also going on loan. We'll announce which clubs at a later stage will be taking these players on. We've got Zita Macheke, also from our development, also going on loan, who's a central defender. We've got Ovidi Karuru, as you know, coming from Belgium. Also didn't have game time last season, but always we feel that he needs game time for him to get into the rhythm. We also have Levi Mukhoto, who also never had game time, who was a regular at Swallows. So we felt that it's better for us not to harbor this talent and keep it and loan them out. Obviously, to be released, players who are out of contract, we're talking Sabonga Nkosi, Josta Data. The other three gentlemen, I think I'll leave them to the chairman to announce, because also there, negotiations are a bit tough, and it looks like Bobby again is the one who has a problem with some of the players. But we also have come to terms with Kilampela to release him last week, and we've obviously given him a clearance. We've come to settle on his contract, and amicably so we've released him to also look at his career elsewhere and further his career elsewhere. We also have Pagamani Mgadi, who was also from Belgium on loan, returning back to his club. Those are the players that officially, from my side, have been released. The other players who are officially going to be announced by the chairman are those that are also of a teething point, and so that if any questions are asked or challenged, we can deal with them also today. Chairman, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, just to add to what Bobby has said, and to repeat, it is not very good for us to read in the paper that we have signed player so-and-so, when in fact we haven't, because it reflects badly on us, because whether it's a coach or a player belongs to a particular club. So we just want to rectify the situation that we saw last week, that we signed the player from Free State Stars. There might have been discussions around the players and so forth, but we have no right to go and sign a player who belongs to another club. That is a given. Even Steve Compella has been bandied around as the next coach that is coming here. I would like to believe that Steve also belongs to a club. He probably has a contract with that club. But I can confirm to you that since there has been this speculation about the coach leaving, I do have a few calls from Europe. Some of the top coaches, some of them are even coaching in Africa, but they're coaching national teams. So, but I couldn't do anything until now. It's only now that we'll sit down and discuss the way forward. So that is the situation at this point in time. So I think the issue of speculations about players us signing so-and-so and so-and-so, I think that must be put to rest, because we haven't signed anybody. In fact, the reason we are releasing these youngsters is because we also don't want to overburden the new coach that will come in, because these guys have not gotten any game time. So we rather loan them out so that when he is here, he can also be monitoring them while they're playing at other clubs, and then we can bring them back at the appropriate time. So, because this past season has gone to waste as far as these players are concerned in terms of their own personal performances. So that is the reason why we are doing it now, because I know the question would be, why do you release them before the new coach comes? But we know from history that if it's like this, obviously the coach himself will have a problem, even to look at them, if he looks at the history of the team over the past season. So we want to make life easy for the coach who comes in and not burden ourselves with that problem. Coming to, I would like, first of all, before I talk about the other contractual issues with players that have been hanging, I would like to also thank, unfortunately they are not here, but we've already thanked them, Siyabonga Nkosi and Josta Lala, for having been part of this journey. And obviously, it is time for them to move on. So I would just want to like to thank them, especially Josta, for the manner in which he has conducted himself at his age. I mean, he's more like a geek in South Africa. So the two other players, the three other players we haven't mentioned that are also itching on your pens right now is Mandla Masango. Mandla was made an offer, and then he made a counter offer, and then we made a counter offer, which means obviously we better the previous offer. And then he came back with another counter offer. So obviously that should tell you something. That should tell you something. And of course, when a situation like this becomes only about money, then it means that player is gone. He's no longer, he shouldn't be part of your club. Because Mandla has been here for so long and he's been treated very well. But the actions now, they say, speak louder than words. So obviously, he has already concluded a deal somewhere. So we decided that we abandoned the discussions. He actually said he's not going to be renewing. And of course, Mashamaite, we also had a scenario where he was made an offer quite early to renew his contract, and his agent came back with a counter offer. We then acceded to the offer that was proposed. But in the process, there was a delay to sign the agreement. And of course, along the way, there were other developments coming in, like this new FIFA rule regarding the agents. So, and obviously, as time went on, we had to fall into this 6-month period where then agents can now pull the plug when they want to. So that is where we found ourselves. And then after, of course, there were new offers that were brought in. So, and then discussions went back and forth. And surprisingly, there was a new offer. So then we realized that it's no longer about integrity now. It's about trying to, especially after the new FIFA rule came up and it was accepted by SAFA and the PSL. So figures were now becoming inflated because there's this 3% issue, which is a thorn in the flesh. There was 10% before, now it's reduced to 3%. So you can understand the issues around the figures being inflated. And this was our expectation, that it will happen, that the agents now will come up with inflated figures. So the long and the short of it is that we decided that we cannot go forward in this regard, and therefore we have terminated the negotiation as far as Mashamaite is concerned. In fact, up to till yesterday, his agent said, no, they are not moving. So we said, fine, then this means it's the end of the road. As far as E2 is concerned, I can also repeat the same scenario, which ultimately drove us into the 6 months period. And as I'm talking to you, this issue of the contracts was addressed a year ago. But obviously, because there's no agency, people take their time and you can't force people to change. But among those contracts, there were other contracts of other players that were renewed without any qualms, because there were no hidden agendas. And those contracts were concluded, and surprisingly, by some of them by the same agents. So, as far as E2 is concerned, I think his case became even more disrespectful to the club when, just before we closed, he sent us a note to say he'll talk to us on the 18th of July when he comes back. Sorry, on the 18th of June, when he comes back for the testings for the team. So the message was clear that he's now dictating to us. So we cannot go ahead to finalize our plans, but be held to ransom by one person. So as far as those negotiations are concerned, they've stalled, and we are moving ahead, and we are not going to wait for the 18th of June. So he'll be free also to see his way forward. One thing I would like to emphasize is that we cannot be held to ransom by anyone. The game itself is bigger than all of us, and the club is bigger than all of us. So it doesn't take one player to make a team, or two players to make a team. It takes a hell of a lot of players to make a team. So therefore, we are not going to be held to ransom, and hence we have decided to move on. And that is a message that is very clear to everybody, irrespective of who the players are. If it becomes an issue of only money or nothing else, then this is the wrong place to be. We look after our players. In fact, I can safely say to you, unless somebody proves me wrong, that over the past season, I think it was the highest paid player in the league. And we may not be saying much about how much we pay our players, but we look after our players. And hence, they stay so long. So the question you should ask is, if a player has been so long in the club, how is it now all of a sudden the money becomes an issue? So I think as far as those players are concerned, there isn't anyone left. So Kaizer Chiefs will be the same Kaizer Chiefs, you know, but with maybe a few new additions. So those that were there and are gone have played their part. And of course, we appreciate what they've contributed. But obviously, it saddens one when you look at a player like E2, who came to us at the age of 13 and was commuting from Ventersdorp to here until we brought him down and actually got him schooling and put him up here and developed him to where he is today. But be that as may, we understand that life should go on and people should be free to move on, to develop themselves and become better people in the future. So that is all as far as those players are concerned. So I'm sure Vina will be asking for questions.
Thank you once more. when the chairman has spoken, there's little more that one can say. Safe to say that we're moving now towards the tail end of this press conference. And thanks so much for your indulgence. And once more, Chairman, and to Football Manager, we thank you for your presentations. The names will be also on the press release so that you don't make mistakes and include me in the list. Just one element that we'd like to raise. Please make sure that you ask your questions now. We're not doing one-on-ones after this. We're not going to studio interviews in the evening. We're going on off-season. And just also to paraphrase one joke that is making rounds, Chairman, on social networks that goes alongside what you mentioned. Most of you will remember it. It talks about when your ex says, happy 1-year anniversary to a new guy, and you broke up 8 months ago. So you then start smelling a rat. You wonder. Thank you for catching it. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving. I know I'm made aware by some of you that you've got other press conferences to catch, and I'm aware of other, duties that our managers have to fulfill. So we don't have, luxury of the whole day. As we mentioned, this is one of the many press conferences that we'll have before the start of the new season. So kindly indulge us, ask questions without stifling your questions. Make them as relevant as possible. And just as a guideline, a question be a question, not a presentation. The people who are here will present, and you just ask a question. Otherwise, I'm going to be tough and even try to cut you while you're trying to continue to give a presentation. Jabu spotted something that needs to be fixed. Thank you. That is a roving mic, and your name of your media, and the question. We're just going randomly. We'll start from that side.
Yeah. To the coach. It's Morena here from EWN Sport. Coach, with everything that was going on off the field with Itumeleng Khune and Tufoma Shamaite, what was the relationship, what was the attitude, what was the atmosphere like in the camp, especially leading into games? And did you guys ever talk about any of the stuff that was happening off the field?
No, of course, anything that goes on around the team affects the team. Anything that goes around, and sometimes positively, sometimes negatively. But I have to say, honestly, that the squad never discussed anything like that, and I never saw any sort of negative attitude creeping in. And I think that every challenge that the squad had, I think they dealt with it well. It was never anything that I raised with the management, and it was never anything that I thought was a relevant factor. I just felt that the players were focused and they got on with the job.
Thank you very much. As we move along, we're going to be moving fast. You can pick up.
Yes, my name is Tabiso Mosia from the radio station Power FM. Mr. Chairman, you spoke about Itumeleng Khune being here since he was 13. Obviously, you're disappointed by what's happened now. But do you hold him responsible for the breakdown in talks, or do you think he was a victim of bad advice? Maybe this goes for the other players that you've mentioned. And just one for the coach. I mean, before you go, maybe you can just leave us with clarity on this one. How does player signings at Chiefs work? Who signs the players? Do you sign the players? How's the system? Because there seems to be a lot of confusion and speculation, and maybe this is the last thing you can just leave with us before you go.
Thank you. We'll start with the chairman.
As far as A2 is concerned, obviously I will, without any doubt, say it's obviously a lack of good advice. If you look at the players in the PSL right now, especially those who have their agents, the question you should ask is what do the agents do for the players, number one. And you will realize that the only time we see agents, it's when the contractual issues come for negotiations. After that, we see nothing. And of course, if they are supposed to be managing these players, there's quite a lot of things that you pick up in the media about the conduct of those players and also why they are in the paper, for what reasons are they in the paper. It just tells you that there's no proper management of the player itself. So the question of E2 obviously is that we're dealing with somebody whose agent is not even in the country, and he's either by email or by phone. And he obviously has a different way of doing things. And I don't know what sort of advice or sort of input that he makes into his player's career. So, but for me, standing outside, it looks like it's just bad advice.
Thank you. We're moving over to the coach. Yeah, it's on, coach. Thank you.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to be very careful in everything that I say now, because when I said I want to leave Chiefs on a good note, I want to leave Chiefs on a good note. I don't want to stand here opening sores that you guys can pick at and find something that's not there. So what I will say is that there are different ways of doing things in different countries, different jobs, different clubs. And the way that we've been working for 3 years is that we have discussions, and then targets are identified, and some are achieved and some are not. Now, the balance between what you want and what you get, sometimes as a coach, is it's sometimes heaven and it's sometimes hell. That's it. That's the way it is, and I think that's the way it is at most clubs. But at the moment, I'm just making a decision about continuing at the club. Not fueling your conspiracy theories, but just making sure that I leave on a good note. And so that's the way it happens at Chiefs, and that's the way it's happened for 3 years. And at some point, the coach makes a decision, not based on one thing, but based on many things. His family status, it could be his health, it could be internal things. So I'm not going to fuel that policy, and I don't think I should sit here and go through minusculely how we sign a certain player. And what I certainly will not do is discuss individual players. Why? Because no matter what the player was, where he came from, who identified him, who negotiated with him, no matter what player it was, every player that's pulled on training kit at Naturena has worked their socks off for me. So I will not stand here and embarrass players by saying that he was one that I didn't want or he was one that I did want. Every player that's worked for Kaizer Chiefs has done a very, very good job, irrespective of the way he's arrived.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, want to make a remark?
Just to add to what the coach is saying, countries do things differently. There are countries where the manager is in charge. The manager is actually the manager coach, but he has managed coaches working under him. To give you a very typical example, the English Premier League operates differently from the continental clubs. Continental clubs, it's the coach plus management, or maybe the coach and a certain level of authority that decides on players. But in the English league, if you are a manager, you are in charge, you are given a budget, and you go out and do whatever you want to do with your team. And then you are obviously charged according to your performance in that regard. But in the continental side, it's different.
Thank you, Bobby.
Just to clarify that fact as well, Chairman, the club has a policy, which every coach, when he comes, we sit, we discuss, and we discuss those policies as well. So it's unfortunate that some of these policies we can't unveil here, because clubs work differently. Some, when they hear we want a particular player, they go and take him. So even the policies, I think they'll steal our policy. So I won't disclose the policy of the club, but we have a policy as a professional club. And as you all know, 45 years of a success story can tell you that there is structures in the team, and those structures have to be respected. It's part of the personalities that are within those structures. It's the club structures and policies that have been there. And we've had different management, leadership, for years in the club, and this club has continued successfully and sustained that integrity. So I think it will be unfair for us also to disclose those policies of how we do our things, because that idea will also be stolen, will also be snitched. So
Thank you very much, Bobby. Colleagues, we're going to move faster. As checking the clock, we already behind on time. Thank you.
Okay, Velile from SABC Sport. Chairman, just to move forward, in search of a new coach, I remember in 2011 or 2012, we dealt with this. I think maybe you felt at some stage you were misquoted. I remember you said there are few coaches in South Africa who can coach Chiefs and Pirates. So in the event that one of the coaches who can be able to coach Chiefs, you don't get him, maybe say Steve Khombela, will you be going abroad? As you've said, you've got foreign coaches waiting. And also, Mr. Bobby Mtawung, just for clarity, I know that the chairman addressed the issue of Masha, Itu, and Masango, but Kune's agent has been in record as saying he last spoke to the club, presumably to you, in February. So there's been no communications ever since.
Oh, mine. That's why we say sometimes it's difficult when people deal through the media with us. That's not true. That's why the chairman says the last email we got was after the function, the year-end function, where we were told that Kune will only talk to us. After we had a meeting with Kune himself anyway, that he will only talk to us in June 18th when we come back for testing. And telephonically, obviously, we've engaged, even on emails, we've engaged the agent. That's why those are negotiations. You know, they take a bit of time, taking backwards and forwards. That's what has made it also very difficult, because the man has not been here. So we've not personally contacted each other heart to heart, but we have communicated with him. That's why even the last email was sent recently. So it's not true that we last spoke in February.
Thank you, Bobby. Over to the chairman.
As far as the coach is concerned, I've always said we cast our net very wide. We don't want, why must we restrict ourselves? And I don't subscribe to this thing of foreign and local coaches, where people are trying to say that we ignore local coaches. If you look at the Chiefs' history, we have had local coaches before. So my answer to you is that the net is wide. We'll decide at the appropriate time whether we go to Pretoria or we go to Scotland. We might end up in Scotland anyway, given the success we get from Scotland.
Thank you, Chairman. Let's just now change sides and go to Scotland.
This is Mzimas.
Hold on, Mzimasi, where are you? There you go,
All right,
thank
yeah.
you. At the back.
Mzimas Mkebisa, SABC Sport. This is addressed to the chairperson of, chairman of the of Kaizer Chiefs. Mr. Mtawung, I seem to pick up that Kune's departure in particular seems to be very emotive to you, in particular with his history with the club. Have you had any one-on-ones with him despite the emails between agents? Have you, as a father figure, sat with him on a professional, obviously, and personal level and engaged Kune at any point of the last 12 months about his future and the club? And also, secondly, whoever's coming in, are you ruling out Dr. Kumalo, who's been an assistant coach with Stuart Baxter for the last 3 years? And then finally to Stuart, as you depart, any possibility that we might see you coming back to South Africa, coaching another club in the next season or the future? Thank you.
I'll start with the second question, because I don't know where you, or maybe I shouldn't say I don't know where you get the story about Doctor, because I also read the same story over the weekend. I don't know where that thing emanates from, because as we said earlier, these are all pure speculations. I don't know, maybe some of you have got a way of influencing decisions, and the way you do it is by writing a story and try to put pressure on people to do certain things. But as far as the Doctor issue is concerned, and the new coaching staff, we have said here that we are going to be making those announcements at the appropriate time. So we have not dealt with those issues. I mean, you can understand that some of the developments have taken place so quickly after the end of the season, so quick that we have not been in a position to even make the first step to say, where are we going from here? So as far as E2 is concerned, I have had issues with, meetings with E2 before, but in the last 6 months, I haven't had any discussions with him yet. But we've had discussions before in front of the football manager as well, regarding some of the things that obviously you might have been aware that happened during his time, in the social media and the media itself. So I've always had discussions, even when we became captain of the club, we've had discussions with him to sort of give him some kind of induction to understand, so that he understands where he comes from and what potential he has as a player, and how he can improve his potential.
Thank you.
I think also there, our chairman, I don't know in the league if there's any other chairman who's more of a father figure to the team. He's here every day in the village. He was given a platform by myself and the negotiating team to actually, if he could not go through us, to then, sit with the chairman as a father once more, like you've asked, Zimasi. I think this chairman is one chairman who's here every day, making sure that all departments and everybody is in sync and focused in terms of what we need to deliver. So there is that access to people. Same, Marsha came, I think this will be raised, where he wanted to meet the chairman. Now the chairman said protocols must also be followed. If negotiations are happening, finalize the negotiations, come back to whether you're in or whether you're out, we can still talk. But not to use that as a bait or bait and to offsetting, because we've got structures that we deal with. But I think the chairman is one person who's here, even at the games. I mean, you guys see him on TV, if you don't see him in press conferences, but he's always there. He's in the change room. So we are a collective. We're all a collective here. So that must be also clear, that there are no bad intentions or malice, or the support structures. The marketing team works tight, hard on making sure that we deal with our players to develop them and induct them and help them in whichever way, socially and otherwise. So there are structures which I think with time, Jessica will have the marketing things to show what they do to support our players in terms of what things are there. Not only the chairman, but the structures that we have.
Thank you very much. We're going to move over at the back, Jabu, if you can help with a question.
Thank you, Vina. It's Junior Steinbeck from eNCA over here, Coach.
Coach, we've got one at the back. Junior, go ahead.
Coach, this question's for you. With the two most recent captains of Kaizer Chiefs Football Club on their way out, Defu and Itu, what can you tell us about the future leadership of the club, and who do you see stepping up to take the club past this phase and through into the future from a captain's perspective?
Yeah, there's still a question over there that needs answering. So, because of my Alzheimer's, let me take the first one first, so I don't forget what you said answering him. No, the team for me is full of captains. We've had Shaba as a captain this year. We've had other people. I mean, a player like Katsande leads by example. So and then you don't know which players are going to come in that may also have leadership qualities. So I don't worry that the Kaizer Chiefs are going to struggle to find a leader that can take them forward. I don't worry about that. I think this group is full of people that have got both character and experience, so I don't see that as being a problem. To answer the question from my friend over there, I can't see him now, but look, I've got absolutely no problem imagining myself working in South Africa again. I don't know if it's going to be. I mean, I'm not moving away from here to run to another place. Pep Guardiola took 1 year free from football. Jurgen Klopp, I read this morning, he's going to take a year out of the game. And if I had to take a year out of the game, probably I'd become a nervous wreck, but it wouldn't be impossible. But 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, who knows? And maybe even I'll come back to South Africa and enjoy this beautiful country a little bit more as a normal person instead of as a football coach, and maybe go around and talk to a few places, coach a few kids' teams, and relax for a year. But I could certainly imagine me working in this country again, and I've enjoyed the supporters, the warmth of the people. I've enjoyed the players' attitudes, and I could certainly envision myself working again.
Thank you. We need new faces first before we go to repeats.
I think you pretty much answered most of the speculation, Coach. It's Sisa Majalo from Daily Sun. Just to get some clarity, how much strain did it put on your relationship with management when the whole link with the South African Football Association came up at the start of the season?
No, I don't think it. Well, for me personally, I don't think it put any strain on my relationship. You know, we speak and we put things into perspective. You know, sometimes that's the difficulty we have. Coaching a team when there's hype moving around, it's putting things into perspective. But we knew, I mean, Chiefs as my employer knew exactly the situation. They were in control of that situation, and even if in some quarters it gets hyped out of all proportion, and maybe a careless comment now and again makes it look like it's something that it's not. I think it's basically a part of life. It's part of football. You know, I mean, I don't go running to you guys and tell you every time I get an agent that calls me. Bobby doesn't go and tell you every player that's recommended to him, because we know that gets hyped out of all proportion. So maybe that is one of those, the chairman mentioned, tensions that drive a big club like Chiefs, you know. If someone wants their coach, I'm sure the chairman is pleased, because if no one wanted his coach, then it means I'm useless, you know, and he's got a useless coach. But if other people are courting our players, we know they're doing a good job. So those tensions, they drive the football club. You've got to be up there and meet those demands. And if you can't do it, you can't work at Kaizer Chiefs. And so in terms of strain, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for Bobby and the chairman, but it didn't put any real strain on our relationship. It probably forced us to meet those challenges and tensions and juice. And I think that's where I felt it was all along.
Thank you very much. We'll go to John today.
You made up your mind that it was time for you to leave Chiefs, and also whether this player exodus, in effect, whether the departure of key players who were key players to you in your time here, like Kune, like Bashamaite, like Basango, had any influence on your decision at all?
Yeah, if I take that a little bit back to front, John, I mean, the situation with those players you've just mentioned, when I was considering my position, that probably wasn't 100% clear. So that wouldn't have been, per se, that wouldn't have been a motivating factor. But I think, look, all things in life is about timing. Everything has its time, and I think when you make a decision, okay, let me say that we were going to play Pirates. I'm going to tell you a story. We were going to play Pirates in the final of the MTN. I had an offer at that time to move to the Middle East. Someone called me and offered me a bucket load of money to pack up my bags from Chiefs and go there. And if I could be there 24 hours later, it would be very, very well paid. And I thought, I cannot leave an employer in those circumstances. I didn't speak about it to the press, and nothing happened, and we won the MTN 8. Yeah. So if you look at it in that respect, everything is about timing. Coming to the end of the season, coming to the end of the third year, and knowing that Chiefs, I think I said to you guys, Chiefs are going to have the biggest rotation of players that they've had this year, then I think that is more a motivating factor to do it properly. Don't wait 2 months and go down the road and suddenly I'm saying, no, I can't do this, and then the chairman's left in the lurch. Let's have a mature conversation now where we throw everything onto the table. And things like that were thrown onto the table, and we discussed it, and we said, okay, look, if it's going to happen, it should happen now. So it's about timing. But it isn't, there isn't anything, again, I don't want to make that sound like it's covert or it's acrimonious. It's not. It's a conversation between professionals, and I think I understand your question, and I think I've answered it without going over the top.
I'm going to look for new questions and new faces, and then we wrap up. Let's start with you, Temba, and go this way.
A quick one to the coach. Coach, you live in South Africa. What are the most memorable times that you've had at Kaizer Chiefs? And can you please describe your stay at Kaizer Chiefs if it was to be compared to a marriage between two people, as well as the chairman, the good and the bad that the agents have brought into this game since the evolution when you started Kaizer Chiefs working with players and families directly until now when they actually dictate terms. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with Coach.
Yeah, I said before, the reason I don't want to be pointing fingers and the reason I don't want this in any way, shape or form to sound acrimonious is because I don't want what I feel has been a really beautiful 3-year journey for both me and the club. I don't want that to be soured in any way, shape or form. I want people to look at the 3 years and say, those are 3 good years in Kaizer Chiefs history. I'm proud of my part there. The chairman has said it's been a team effort all the way, and that's exactly how it's been. The highlights for me have been many. I don't think I can put anything at the top of the list. I just like winning things. I like getting the feeling that you're respected for your work. I like the feeling of the players working hard and enjoying the training. I like the feeling that the supporters are identifying with the club and they've got a smile on their faces. Probably, if I'm saying a highlight that we've had many times, is I've seen how happy our supporters have been. That for me has been as much success as being presented with a medal or being presented with the cup. I think it's important. I think if I understand the social impact of football in this country, I think I understand that people, they are fully committed and passionate about football, and it's a big part of their life. So to affect a big part of their life in a positive way, I think is an important role that we all have in football. And I think that has been a success for me, and that's been something that's been very pleasing to see sometimes at the games, you know, the effect that we have on the people. You know, to drive away from, I think the chairman spoke about when we were in Port Elizabeth, and to drive away from the stadium and see so many people, not in Joburg, but in Port Elizabeth, Chiefs fans, massively happy. So that has been something that I think we should be proud of, and that's something that I'm proud of during the 3 years.
Thank you, Chairman. The agent.
Yeah, I think I must make it clear up front that when I talked about agents, I'm not making a sweeping statement. It will be irresponsible on my part because players do need some kind of management. And I think it is necessary for players. It is their right to have somebody managing their career. But as you know, in this day and age, there are those who are not credible agents because they actually get money from the club and even the player as well. But the question you should be asking yourself about agents is, what do they give the player? What do they add to the player's career? Because there are a few agents in this country who have done well for some of the players, especially those who went overseas and came back. They've managed those players in the right way and made sure that they invest their money properly and also sort of enhanced the player's career. But there are those who see it as a money-making exercise. And hence I said to you, some of them, we only see them the day we sign the contract. And then we see them again the day we renew the contract. So that is, for me, that is the worry I have about the question of agents, because these don't seem to be properly regulated in terms of how they conduct themselves. So that is the only problem, but I do understand that agents are there to help the players and enhance their talent. But inevitably, some of them just see it as a... In fact, some of them have created an artificial economy amongst the, in our industry. So those are the elements that are not really doing good for the game.
Thank you, Chairman. I think the last 3 questions now for this round, and we will be wrapping up. We'll go with you.
It's Morena.
We will stay here for the whole day.
It's Morena again from EWN Sport. This is from Tatem Taung. You mentioned how with Itumeleng Khune, it was a lack of advice from him, you know, but with Tefuma Shamaite and Mandla Masango, would you say the same for them? Would you say that the breakdown in communication, breakdown in negotiations, and, you know, not coming to common ground would be the same reason?
I would say it's probably the same reason, because the way the things unfolded, you can see that there was something untoward. I mean, there was, we were negotiating in good faith all along. But once you come into a situation where you make a commitment in black and white to say, I will sign that contract that we agreed on these terms, and then later you come back and say, no, we have a counter offer to the one that you made before. What does it, tell you? So I would say probably it's lack of proper advice.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Okay, Bobby. Sorry.
Because I know what's going to happen after this. People will be saying the chairman is against agents. Sometimes it's not agents. It's other influential relations that people have. I mean, a guy like Kunde, for instance, has an agent overseas, he's got a manager somewhere here who's looking after him. We know, you guys know, you've written about these commercial managers. So sometimes not agents per se. There are other sort of influential things around the players themselves. So it's not just the chairman, you think maybe it's the agents. No.
Thank you very much, Bobby. We'll move over to Velile and we'll take the last question somewhere there.
Okay. My question to the coach and then to the chairman. Coach, just on the issue of players, we spoke to a top coach here in Gauteng recently who felt that it is not the responsibility or a big team like his should be challenging for titles and not be promoting players from the development. I know that I don't want to compare you to the team, which I feel has got some very good youth structures and some of the best youth talent in the country. Is it not the responsibility of a coach to also build a team for the future, but not just for success as well? And also to you, Chairman, Chiefs, when you look at them currently and thinking that you're going back to the Champions League again for the 3rd time in succession, what becomes the focus now when you're signing players, knowing the age issue in the team, especially in the spine of your team? Are you looking at, in politics they will call it generation mix, are you looking at making sure that you get a talent that will be complementing the age issue in your team?
We'll start with the chairman.
Obviously, that's one thing that we are going to address with whoever takes over. We obviously have to look at the local scenario and the now and the future. So it's a complex situation, but it's a challenge that we have to address. So we equally have to look at where we need to beef up the squad to be able to challenge locally, but also where we need to how we need to beef up the squad to look at the Champions League as well. But most importantly also is the fact that we do have to look at a succession plan, be able to be ready for those players we are talking about who are almost on their way out, to be replaced without any disruptions.
Thank you very much, Coach.
I wanted to say to you earlier on that when we were talking about the coaches that Carlo Ancelotti is available, but unfortunately I don't have a dollar currency.
Let's swap the mics. It seems we're having a problem with this one.
Is that okay?
Is it okay? Okay. Thank you very much, Coach.
I know there's a lot of you out there that have asked the same question, and that's a great question. Let me try and answer it in the most descriptive way I can, so you'll get a picture of what's happening. At the moment, when I came 3 years ago, the chairman and Bobby both said to me, look, we have to address, it's a passion the chairman has, for the youth of South Africa, not only for the youth of Kaizer Chiefs, and I think that is important to know. So that was the chairman's vision. And we started work on the academy, and we started from scratch, basically, because it had been closed down. At that point in time, we decided that Kaizer Chiefs senior team would be the flagship of the club, yeah? And we would trickle down into the academy the way that Kaizer Chiefs should work. Now, we have done that. We have now got let us say, a syllabus from the age of 11 to a Kaizer Chiefs senior player that we want to deliver to the kids that join our academy. And that's mentally, socially, technically, tactically, it's the whole thing. Now, we don't want it to be that way. We don't want this to trickle down. Eventually, you want this to be a representation of everything that's happening here. All the values that you give to the kids, all of the coaching that you give to the kids, when they come through, they now should represent what is happening there. So instead of this being the flagship and trickling down, this should be a result of everything that we're doing here. And at that point, the chairman will have what he wants, because at that point, when these kids come through, they will be supplemented by the targets that Bobby can find, but they will be definite targets. You have to be able to do this, 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 and this, because otherwise you're not a Chiefs player. That is the project. Now, we've done part of it, but that takes a long time. It took the Spanish national team 12 years to achieve that. It took Barcelona, I think, 10 years. And the chairman has given a clear directive, and that's what we've been working on it. And I think it's a work in progress. The second part of that is that for the Kaizer Chiefs players? Is that just for the good of Kaizer Chiefs? No, it's not. It's for the good of South Africa. Because all South African kids, when they play football, they need to have a vision. They need to be able to say, if I follow this path, I can land there. That is to give hope to kids, which is not a small part of the importance in South Africa. That a kid playing in the township, why should he dream? Why should he have hope? And I think the more people like the chairman that want that sort of thing for the kids of this country, the more reason they have to hope and dream. And I think that's good for all South Africans.
Thank you. There was a hand there, and we'll go to the back and see if we can close.
Okay, thanks so much. My name is Timothy from Alex FM. My question goes to Coach Stuart. In the season that we've been at Kaizer Chiefs, Mandla Masango, for example, he was a player who was always playing second fiddle to his peers, and you gave him a chance. He became a revelation. I guess statistics are there for everybody to see. He became the regular Bafana player, the top goal scorer of the team this season. Are you somehow disappointed in his departure? Thank you.
Yeah, to say disappointed, you need to really define what you mean by disappointed. I think, am I disappointed that Mandla will not be representing Kaizer Chiefs? Yes. Because I think Mandla has a future here, and I think Kaizer Chiefs have put a lot of work into Mandla. So yeah, disappointed in that respect, but disappointed in Mandla as a person, that he seeks new pastures. That's his right. That's his right. I mean, whether I think he's correct or not, that's not the question. It's his right. When he sits down with Bobby, if they can't agree, Mandla moves on. That's life. That's football. I think Mandla had a great future here. That's my opinion. But I think Mandla's story is another one of those stories that gives hope for people. You know, Mandla played second fiddle. Yes, he did. But he kept going. And we kept believing that one day we'd finally find that key that would unlock Mandla and allow him to fulfill his potential. I think that's the work that was done here. And the magic's not here. The magic is with Mandla. It's just that we found a key to unlock it, you know. And I think Kaizer Chiefs also should get credit for that, you know. And the disappointing part is that it has to finish the way it does. But that's life, and you move on. But I wish Mandla all the success in the world, as I do all the other players. But I think Mandla's story is it's a nice one.
Thank you very much, Coach. There were two hands at the back.
Yeah, Hosea from Independent Newspapers. This one goes to the chairman. With the latest developments, mainly the departure of key personnel, I just want to know how confident are you that Kaizer Chiefs will be, strong contenders for Holy Grail, moving forward?
The one thing we should know is that players will come and go, but great clubs maintain their positions at the top, because one player that leaves opens up a space for another player from somewhere. So it's not a train smash, and we believe that the way things are structured, we'll be able to address those issues. Like I mentioned earlier, when I was reflecting on the past season, that when we started, we lost 3 key players. In the first round, we did not lose 1 game, and the players like Mandla and George and the Georges came to the fore, and they delivered. So the same thing will happen here, that we'll be able to plug that gap at the appropriate time.
Jabu, do we have another hand there?
Loaz Izikubu here from SuperSport Blitz, and this is to Bobby. It's in 2 parts. Firstly, as far as the coaching position is concerned, of course, it's probably one of the easiest to fill because it's an individual. Has there been some coaches that you have identified? Obviously, without sharing names, do you have in mind 1 or 2 coaches that you might want to approach? And secondly, as far as the squad is concerned, what would be the first sort of point of order going forward? Would you want to replace the players leaving head for head, obviously sticking to quality, or are you thinking that perhaps you're just going to replace the players that need to be replaced or the positions that need to be replaced? For example, with Kune leaving, does that open a door for maybe a goalkeeper from the development ranks to come in, or are you going to look for a goalkeeper of equal experience?
I think the coaching one, the chairman has obviously said it earlier that he's got a couple of emails. We've got stuff, but it boils down to planning. We're going to sit. We're not taking a break. Normally, I was supposed to be at the Champions League, but the chairman has pinned me down. So we'll be working flat out, doing workshops and everything, planning on also, because you must remember, when you get a coach, even with Stuart, we planned. We knew what we wanted. We had to knuckle down. So the continuation is going to be very important in terms of where we are and how we're going to face this. So it's going to be a proper, thoroughly thought process that we're going to look at. Same thing with the team. The eNCA staff will meet, will sit and plan. That's what we normally do. It's not Bobby going around shopping. My job is to make sure that whatever the plans that have been put in place, I lock. That's my responsibility. It's a collective work. It's not an individual work. It's a collective work. There's people around that would sit. Even contract negotiations once more. It's not Bobby alone. There's structures. There are people who sit and apply their minds. If there are disciplinary issues, there are people that are got found somewhere, found, consulted, structures are there. So things are not done by an individual. They're always a collective. Just that obviously voicing out things, for instance, the chairman will only speak out when he has to speak out. But normally we would speak because of the responsibilities that we have. So everything is going to be about the collective and the planning. So it goes both ways with players and the coach that will be coming in.
Thank you, Bobby. We'll take the last one from the floor and we close. No question. Thank you very much. There's, from that side, this side we've closed.
My name is Mazola Mulefe from the Sunday Times. My question is to the chairman. Chairman, are you nervous at all about what appears to be, a transition that's coming through, a wave of transition? I mean, two Premier League titles in 3 years under Coach Baxter, now having to reshuffle the pack and start all over again.
To say I'm nervous, I think that's an understatement, because I've been in the game as a player, and I know what the pressures are on the field. I've been an administrator all my life, so the pressures that are there are the ones that actually drive us, like we mentioned earlier. But the fact of the matter is that if you look back 3 years ago, when we brought the coach here, we actually went to the market and actually we did a wholesale clean out and bought new players in. And obviously, we had identified the areas that need to be addressed. And equally now, it's the same thing we are going to do. And this time, it's not going to be as hard as the 3 years ago, because I'm sure the team is stable. All we need to do is to do what we had said earlier, that we need to address the areas that are key and look at now and the future, and not plan for now and the future, not only address the issues for today.
Chairman,
so I'm not nervous because I've been in the game all my life. So to me, I see this as an exciting challenge for us to be able to come up with solutions. Because in life, I've learned that life is all about finding solutions in anything you do.
Chairman, while you're holding the mic, if you can do the closing remark as we're wrapping up from the panelists, if you can make your closing remarks before we get Jessica to come forward to close.
Well, having said so much, I think I've said what I wanted to say, and obviously my closing remarks will just reflect once more to what I said earlier in brief. First, to say thanks to the coach, and I wish him everything of the best in the future and his family. And I wish you guys have a good rest. I know your pens are still itching, even though the season is gone. There's a drought now because there are no games and things like that, but at least you also deserve a rest for this period, and just go and freshen up and come back and let's start again where we left off. Thank you.
I know we're not following proper protocol, but now we'll go to Bobby to just say final remarks.
Well, I want to thank the media. Look, the chairman has already done that, but I want to thank you guys even for coming over today. And also, this was actually more of showing the spirit in which we're parting ways with the coach. When he came, we did the same press conference where we announced him. Now, it shows that we're not parting ways in a very negative way. We're parting ways very positively. And I want to thank you guys for a wonderful season. Mazola, what do they call it? A scoop of the year, I think, on Sunday. We don't know who your source is, but congrats to you for scooping it. But the names, I think, of players and everything will be announced officially in June when the players come back. There's going to be hard work for us. We're going to be knuckling down to everything to detail. So I think it will only be proper, and it's my plea that we be given a chance to deal with issues and speculations, if they can just be a bit subtle, because sometimes we want to do certain things, but because of the way people are leading us, and it affects, like I asked earlier on about contracts, people who are contracted, we need to give them the respect, give those contracts the respect, and the clubs that are actually contracted to those players. So we are definitely going to be knuckling down and giving you the sweet news again in this forum in the future. I think just the marketing team and the communications department will make those announcements in future. But I'm not going to be taking calls or speculations. I'm just making it clear, gentlemen. I'm going to be hard at work, making sure that whatever we talk about is authentic and is practical. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Baxter. The last one from your side.
Yeah. Listen, when I came 3 years ago, I mean, I know that many of you had considered the time out at Bafana to be not the most successful. I mean, I hope we can reflect on that a little bit as well and wonder what would have happened if we'd have all got behind some of the strategies and pushed it forward a little bit more on a different level. But I mean, I need to thank everybody for the 3 years that we've had together. I hope I've conducted myself professionally. I think I have. I mean, I've even spoken to Jonty for 3 years. I mean, look. I hope you've enjoyed a professional relationship with me. I mean, I hope I've changed a few perceptions. Certainly, I wouldn't be frightened to death to come back in the future. And whatever I'm doing this year, I hope maybe we bump into each other again and have a great season, have a great break, have a great season. Look forward to reading some of the articles that you write in wherever I am in the world, if it's in Cape Town or if it's in Casablanca or if it's in Copenhagen. So good luck, everybody. Thanks very much for the last 3 years, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much to our panelists. We left now with one part on the agenda as I ask Jessica to come forth to do the closing. And just because it's my last part as well, it would be important to highlight that we are aware of the issues that you raised about our media days and conferencing, the registration at the gate and security issues. Just be aware that we are working on all those issues. When you come back, as Bobby mentioned, we're going on workshops to also polish how we do and conduct ourselves in the media space. But at this stage, thank you very much, and Jessica will do the closing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vina, but we'll still be strict and have systems. So to everyone, thank you so much. Coach, Chairman, Bobby, I think a very successful press conference. We achieved what we wanted, which was to give clarity. Chairman, a big thank you for your leadership, taking a stand and making sure that we share and are honest and give authentic information. Thank you to the football manager for sharing all the news around the players. Coach, you know, this goodbye is not a sad one because I know we're going to say hello again, you know, and it's been an incredible journey working with you, with the marketing team. People don't understand the stuff we do behind the scenes with you guys, and I know we've put pressure on you to do the media interviews and be available while at the same time you work hard towards achieving your goal. I remember my first press conference with you when we launched Reclaiming the Glory. And wow, you helped us reclaim the glory. And we close with inspiring greatness. And certainly we've inspired greatness. And I think people need to understand that we've only inspired greatness. Now the journey continues. And as we move forward, we'd like to first and foremost also say thank you to our supporters who have played a critical role this season and, as the coaches said, have made him comfortable and really are a big part of who we are. And I think one of the things I'd like to also say is condolences to the families of all those supporters who also were lost during this season, and we have lost a few through a number of accidents on the road. So I hope our supporters go out there and also relax and enjoy the quiet space while you relax before we come back to a big season. And I'd like to end by saying that business at the village does continue. We will still have our retail store available, and a number of activities will be taking place. So we do encourage them to come through. And as the planning happens and everybody's taking a break, I'd like to end with the quote that I gave at the Players Awards, because we all talk about agents, players, and all of us, but I think we're all responsible for our lives. And when I closed the Players Awards in my vote of thanks, I said, be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way that things are. When you realize that nothing is lacking, the world belongs to you. And we also realize that life is a series of changes, Coach. We shouldn't resist them. We should face reality and allow things to move forward. And we wish you the best in your journey. It's been lovely knowing you and your family. And we hope that you will continue to fight the Kaizer Chiefs flag, because now you're always part of us. You're a part of our history and part of our hearts. So let us all go in love and peace, share the news accurately with each other, and build a good spirit and plant a new seed for the new season. Thank you.
Just while you're there, just for the cameraman, you can take a picture with Shh, guys, let's do it orderly. Thank you. The cell phone guys, can you give the real machines a chance? And while you're doing that, I'm aware there are guys who wanted to see the chairman after this and so forth. Kindly be aware that the chairman has got other pressing matters that he's rushing for, and he has apologized. There's tea downstairs. And if we can unblock the exit door to allow the chairman to walk, and Jessica and coach and Bobby. There's tea downstairs.